Hello there and welcome to this Hypno playthrough. I am thrilled to bring you this incredibly strong and very creepy Pokemon to you in the holiday season between, I think fittingly, Christmas and more importantly, Halloween. This is kind of like the Nightmare Before Christmas episode for me. Underrated movie, or maybe properly rated. I think it's rated quite nicely. But we're going to be playing with Hypno today, which is an excellent Pokemon. 85 HP, 73 attack, 70 defense, only 67 speed, but that's generally good enough. And an outrageous 115 special. Now in Gen 2, Hypno really got done dirty by the split between the special defense and special attack. We've got the unified 115 special in this generation, and that is just excellent for Hypno. So not only does it have great bulk with very high HP, it's also got pretty good defenses and excellent special defense, which is especially important in the late game, as most of the late game threats are special attackers, with a couple notable exceptions. So also notice our moveset starting out is pretty great too. We start with Confusion, Hypnosis, Disable, and Pound. Now, Pound and Disable are not especially good, but Confusion is a fantastic early game move, especially when we have same type attack bonus and 115 special. What this means is that we will be two-shotting just about everything that we are not one-shotting, and there will be plenty of one-shots too, because throughout the whole playthrough, but especially in the early game, there are a lot of poison types and weak poison types. Those will be going down to a single hit with Confusion, which has 25 PP. So we can really just roll through here, and we could even take on some optional trainers if we wanted to. But as you can see, I'm kind of just running past everything. Oh, level 8 Pidgey. Don't mind if I catch that. But we could do quick training, but we don't even need to do it because our stats are so good and we're a special attacker. We're just going to go straight for the mandatory trainers and fight Brock on minimum battles. Now, it is a little slow knocking out this Caterpie. It would be faster if it was a Weedle. Obviously, we might even one-shot it if it was a Weedle. But as it is, we're still not very scared of that Caterpie. We just take it out in 3 hits. We don't even heal, and we go straight for Brock. Now, the keen-eyed among you may realize that this is a little bit of an older playthrough. In modern runs, I tend to catch the Doduo later on rather than the Pidgey early in the forest. But even with that small change, a 2 minute and 36 second Brock split is absolutely phenomenal. It's very fast. And I wonder what your expectations are. Maybe leave me a comment before you watch the video and then edit it later. I wonder what your expectations are for Hypno. I imagine you think Hypno is going to be good, but where do you think it lands for me? Do you think it's going to land in the S tier, the A tier, the B tier? Keep in mind with my tiers, I've got them at 35, 37, 40 minutes. So let me know what you think. Is it going to be near the top of the tier list? Do you think it's going to be a good but not great Pokemon? Let me know maybe a time guess that you think. Now, for me, let's just say the results surprised me. I won't tell you in which direction. Okay, we've decided to fight this bug catcher here, the one with 4 bugs, rather than the last up top. And the reason for that is pretty simple. Those are all one hits. Even the Caterpies, they were at the Caterpie and the Metapod, they were at a bit lower of a level. So we have to 2-hit these ones, but the previous ones were 1 hits. So if you get 4 1-hits, I think it's actually faster just to fight that trainer than it is to fight the last above with 2 Pokemon and then backtrack to reset her position. I think it's actually just slightly faster, although it's pretty close, to fight the bug catcher with 4 Pokemon. So we're still on minimum battles here. Not minimum Pokemon, but I still think it's the fastest way for us to tackle this early game. And as we walk our way through the cave here, you see that I bump into this Rattata and Zubat trainer. What's going on with that? Was this part of the routing? This was not part of the routing, actually. I'm surprised I didn't just reset the whole playthrough at that point. But I think there's so much risk going into Misty, especially the way that I'm playing it, that if you've got a pretty good run going, that kind of thing, 2 one-shots on 1 mandatory trainer, It's not ideal, but it's not game breaking, especially because in the late game, there's going to be a lot of places to reset. We will be using hypnosis, unfortunately. So for those of you who don't like hypnosis, I'm sorry. It's really the fastest way to play this Pokemon. If you don't use hypnosis, you're just going to lose a lot of fights that you could have otherwise won. Now you see there that when I healed, I also taught Bide. Bide is going to be important for Misty because we already have 56 HP, which is quite good for this stage in the game. We're going to go up to level 16. We're even going to have a little more HP. We're going to fight the rival first, actually. So I think we may even get to 17 before Misty doing this. We could choose to fight Misty directly, but we do get a little more experience this way. And there's a PP management consideration too. So you can see that PP is at 7 for confusion. This way, if we go fight Misty afterwards, we can backtrack for Nugget Bridge. And you can see I heal up. Yep. And I'm backtracking. We actually, it's pretty step efficient still because we didn't have to do a lot of backtracking. The rival's right there at the front of the bridge. So sometimes if you just need a little bit more experience, it can be the case that it's better to do that, especially since, okay, we're going to use Confusion against Staryu and then Bide against Starmie. So we have enough PP to get through here. We're going to heal one more time. Then we're going to have enough PP to last throughout all of Nugget Bridge. No problem. That said, when you use Bide, good or bad things can happen. You don't really know yet. I kind of wish that we had that much HP for Red Bar, but, you know, we only had 2 Confusion PP, so there's no real choice there. We have to heal. Although, as a bit of foreshadowing, well, I won't foreshadow that. Never mind. There is a potential, and you've seen it in my Nidoking run, to intentionally set yourself up to take damage to go Red Bar through this stretch of the game. But let's just say there's another very strong Psychic Pokemon where you could consider doing that. Okay, as we go along here, we can see that these Pokemon are no problem for Hypno. And not only are they no problem, but they're actually just going down like flies. They're one shot after one shot. Even that level 16 Pidgey, that's interesting. So that's a pretty bulky Pokemon. And with same type attack bonus over the damage rounding threshold of level 20, we're one-shotting it. So we're going really, really fast in this section of the game. I think that it's really interesting to compare and contrast the Hypno early game to the Nidoking early game. I kind of drew an allusion to it already, but Nidoking is very step efficient, like very PP efficient is really what I mean to say, where you can use like Thrash and knock out multiple Pokemon. Confusion's not exactly like that, but it has 25 PP and it's one-shotting a lot of stuff. So for an early game move that's extremely powerful, we also have a ton of PP. I mean, you could contrast that against, for instance, Red and Blue Gyarados, which absolutely destroys the early game, but it's relying on Hydro Pump and Dragon Rage. Dragon Rage has okay PP. Hydro Pump, definitely not. There's only 5, so you really have to conserve it. But you can see I'm picking up like these PP restoring items as I go along too. So because of the routing where I went to Rival 2 first and then to Misty and then healed on very low PP, I was able to actually save a Pokemon. I was able to fight the Hiker with the Onyx instead of the Hiker with the hiding the Elixir that has an extra Pokemon, and then just pick up the Ether at the end because we don't care about like an Elixir which restores pound PP or something that's not important. We really just want to restore the Confusion PP, and that's going to make it so that we can get to Body Slam as well, and Body Slam will be a useful move for Hypno. Now you saw our first uses of Pound there. Against other Psychic types, we will be relying exclusively on physical attack. Actually, our physical attack stat was not that bad. I don't know if you remember, what was the base stat, like 70 something? It's pretty good. It's like a workable attack stat. For the secondary attack methodology, it's a pretty good attack stat. So we will be using a combination, especially with our badge boosting move, Meditate. I haven't talked about Meditate yet, But our sort of low speed and mediocre attack stat are going to get a lot better once we start badge boosting it. So badge boost will come into play later. And you notice that I didn't even buy healing items there. I just bought repels. I found myself running out of PP before running out of health in most cases in these runs. So I do think it's pretty efficient to just do away with that. And you see I moved pound into the top slot specifically so that I could just mash A through the body slam teaching there. So off we go, and we will fight the gentleman candy. We are cutting a couple candies in this run that most Pokemon get. We are going to go through this with a very low finishing level. Okay. The rival. Are there any threats here? The answer is no. Body slam or confusion would manage those two. It may seem weird that I just taught headbutt. Like, why would I have headbutt and body slam on the set? Well, I just need one. The answer is technically, yeah, I probably only need one. But body slam is better for the later stages of the game. So that's why I still took on the optional to get it. Whereas headbutt is actually pretty good for a few Pokemon coming up soon. So kudos to you if you can figure out which Pokemon I'm talking about. But it's actually pretty interesting to me that there was a niche here. So it was worth teaching, at least for a couple fights. Okay, you see I try to combine as many actions as I can there. I teach dig and cut to Charmander. Then we take on Surge. If you're wondering if Surge is scary, not really. I mean, like a crit mega kick could be really bad. Our damage ranges aren't great against them, but Surge did about as well as he could do there, except for the X attack. So I guess if he spammed only attacking moves and he hit with all of his moves, he could beat us. But in general, I wasn't too scared there. I didn't even take the save. I didn't even use hypnosis. So if he had gotten us, he would have gotten us. Oh, well, I would have had to run it back. Okay. Next up, we're going to get the bike. We're going to bike around. This, much like a lot of my runs, is my attempt to chase down one of Austin's PBs. A lot of times Austin is kind of the measuring stick for me. And I say that in a respectful way, definitely, meaning like he is an excellent player. And if he puts up a good time with a Pokemon, a lot of times that's a fun challenge for me to try to take down his PBs, to pass his PBs. And a lot of times he beats me back. Like with Nidoking, I put a little world record next to the Nidoking run when I beat Austin's run. And then he went back recently and beat me by like a minute, like an insane amount of time with Nidoking. So it is what it is. At some point, I'll probably have to do a tier list update, by the way, and update which of my runs I actually think are still the best that anyone's run them versus the ones that aren't. I actually have a Pokemon on my list that's ranked that doesn't have a little WR next to it that I revisited, and I think I do probably have the best time now. So look for maybe a post. Oh, and here's the headbutts. If you guessed that it was for Slowpoke, you were correct. Headbutt with flinch chances tended, I think, to be a little faster than Body Slam, because if you saw my Rapidash versus Chansey video, and you probably did, if you like this channel and you're watching this, you probably saw that one first. The flinch chances with headbutts or stomps, it makes the battles go much faster. So having to hit the Slowpoke multiple times before beating it, I think it made a lot of sense to teach headbutt there. Okay. And we go and we go. Let's think about what we want to do next. So we technically have a couple options. We could go to Erika next. We have a type advantage, at least not against the Tangela, but against the Vileplume. Not Vileplume. This isn't red and blue. Oh, camera's drifting on me here. There we go. Against the Weepin' Bell and the Gloom. So we have a type advantage there. We could fight her directly. We could also choose to go to Pokemon Tower. Now, we don't have like a type advantage against the rival, but our moves are all quite good against the rival. And we have super effective damage against the ghosts. You see that I could have chosen to take the heal there, but I skipped it. I think we have enough PP that we probably don't need to. We have options, and we also have a secret third option, which is to go pick up the psychic TM before doing anything else. So there's a really interesting choice. We learn psychic naturally by level up at level 39. Or we could go over there now and pick up the psychic TM. Now, I think if I was to reroute this today, I would probably look into that, but I don't know if it's the best. In this run, I'm actually deciding to skip that because confusion is good enough for the stretch of the game. And I'm going to wait. And you see I teach 2 Carbos there because Carbos is a nice thing to improve my speed. That's going to be important to get a couple outspeeds later. But I'm going straight for Pokemon Tower. I'm going to give myself some more experience. And then I'm even going to use some candies, which are useful anyway. And I'm going to use those candies to get Psychic rather than taking the extra trip to Saffron City. I definitely could see it working out either way. I think it's not necessarily intuitive which one is faster. But in this case, I was 2-shotting everything, and I don't think Psychic would have one-shot the Eevee either. The Eevee is quite strong. Now, I got a little unlucky that it used Growl there. I think if I had switched to Confusion, it might have still gotten the 2-shot. But I needed 2 Confusion PP for these Ghastlies here. And after this, I'm going to hit the heal pad. So you can see that the PP is very tightly mapped out here. I didn't want to use an extra elixir here when I'm about to heal. And so, okay, if you have to accept an extra hit on the Eevee, that's probably more worth it than opening the inventory, looking around for your elixir and teaching an elixir. It is interesting, by the way, this is the second time Confusion has been very low on PP before I restored it. And of course, that's by design, but it's funny that we could be at 25 PP of Confusion and still almost run out of them, not once, but multiple times. Okay, Jesse and James. Once again, we have a type advantage here. It's amazing how many psychic types there are in red, blue, and yellow. Now, psychic would have been a one-shot on that wheezing, so that is one thing to consider. It's like, okay, how many turns do we lose? That's why I think maybe picking up the psychic TM would have saved time. It is hard to say, though, because it would cost a few seconds. And accepting 1 2-shot where it would have been a 1-shot, I mean, it's still worth it to accept 1 2-shot. So still unclear to me. Man, now I'm getting curious if I could reroute this better. But I do think it would be very close either way. This looks like an accident, by the way, but it's not. I am fighting this trainer on purpose, the Machoke trainer. He gives... Oh, and that's a very unlucky 2-hit as well. So Psychic in that case would have been a 1-hit. But that's like a very favorable range to be a 1-hit against that Machoke. I'm fighting Biker Boss 2, of course, so I'm getting like the prime time experience on this route. I'm getting the Biker Boss, the earlier Biker. Wait, did I fight the earlier Biker? No, I didn't fight the earlier Biker. I think it's just the Biker Boss and the Machoke trainer, which may seem funny because there is that 2 Wheezing trainer earlier on, but that 2 Wheezing trainer earlier on is... like almost overkill. It's too much experience. I've got it lined up to where we're going to fight directly against Koga, where we have this type advantage against the poison types. And it would have been a lot of training to get these Drowsies to be 1-shots. Instead, I've got 2 shots now. So I thought, okay, why not just fight the jugglers now? They're going to be 2 shots unless I train to a high level. I don't want to train to a high level. I'm just going to accept a few 2 shots here. And then I'm going to use rare candies. After this next juggler, I'm going to get up to level 34. Then I'm going to use 5 rare candies, get Psychic, and crush Koga with it. There is an argument to be made to circle back here, especially if you could beat Rival 5 at a lower level and then maybe come back here later. What I found, though, was that Rival 5 is actually extremely difficult. One thing that Hypno has going for it is, well, it's got so many tools with Hypnosis, Psychic, and Body Slam. It's really good. But Meditate, it doesn't get into a higher level. And if you don't have Meditate, you don't have a setup move. And using Hypnosis without your setup move is really not that good. We also don't have coverage. So I'm kind of talking over the Koga battle because there's not a lot going on here. We have very good physical bulk, so we're not worried about even the super effective leech life. But all this to say, Rival 5 is quite difficult. If you don't have Meditate, you don't have like Ice Beam and Thunderbolt and those coverage moves that you would want to get one-shots, it really isn't that great. As I cut down the trees and go into the Safari Zone now, I may as well. Now, a downside of this is I haven't fought Erika yet, and I delayed Erika because it's just a bit slow going through the Tangela, and I didn't have one-shots until I had Psychic anyway. So I'm going to backtrack to her afterwards. But you notice I didn't heal in Fuchsia. This means that we're not going to be digging back out to get this rare candy. So the downside of this routing is we're going to be down a rare candy unless we actually take an extra fly animation to go back to Fuchsia at the end of this. You might be wondering, well, isn't that kind of a problem? That's several animations. That can't be the most efficient way to do it. And all of that. Oh gosh, I lied. I did heal there. Why did I think I skipped that heal? That's so funny. All right. Sorry for lying to you, everybody. This is what happens when you do this all in one go. This voiceover is done in one go. So sometimes I misremember a little element of the route. Whoops. Here we are. So I did heal there after beating Koga. And then this works out, but now I have to fly here. Oh, you know what? I didn't set my rally point here on the way in either, did I? So if you don't set your rally point there anyway, you have to fly there. No problem. Okay. Off we go. We beat the Cool Trainer. The Cool Trainer is a little bit of extra experience. Going back to the point I was going to make about Rival 5, because this is going to be a trivial fight. Yeah, Tangle is a 2-hit, but the rest of them are going to be easily a 1-shot. Is Rival 5 is really difficult until we're at level 43. And there's a specific reason for that. And that's when we start to get good ranges on these first two Pokemon with Sandslash and Cloyster using Psychic. Psychic is, like I said, a really good move, but if you don't have Ice Beam, you don't have Thunderbolt, it takes a while to get one-shots. You might think it's weird that I healed there. It's like, why am I doing that? And why am I going to the mansion already? I'm making what I could only describe here as an absolutely radical choice. You can probably see in a couple ways already that this is an older playthrough, but I want to give past David some props here because I don't think it would spring to my mind now to risk these encounters. Like I just ran into a level 40 Raticate. I really don't like going through the mansion at this low of a level. However, I'm doing it for a very specific reason. And that specific reason is that after I go through the mansion here, I'm going to get 2 rare candies. Those 2 rare candies, a lot of times you wish you had them before the mansion for Pokemon with a very strong late game, which Hypno does have a very strong late game. You wish that you had access to those earlier because the yellow mid game and mid to late game tend to be the very hardest part of the game, except for maybe the champion fight, and that's Pokemon dependent. So you might look at this and go, oh my God, so many encounters. It's so painful. Can you even call this a speed run? Well, yeah, we had a bunch of encounters there and they cost about 3 seconds each, and that doesn't feel good. However, when you consider that it probably would have taken me about 3 optional trainers versus 6 run-ins with Pokemon, you're still going faster if you don't need the levels. And in this case, I don't need the levels. Like I'm not even going to get the Machoke candy. I'm only going to use those 2 candies that I got at Blaine to go from level 41 to level 43. And that's all the levels that I need for the rest of the game. I will not use a single other rare candy. I won't fight another optional battle. And I get Meditate. So there's some beautiful things happening here. We're at level 43. I get all the answers I need. I get the damage ranges I need on these first 2 Pokemon. I also have Meditate if I choose to use it, which I'm not going to necessarily need for this fight, but I will need it for upcoming fights. And there you go. Rival 5 looks very trivial once you one-shot the first 2 Pokemon, but it's quite sketchy if you choose to do it at a lower level. Like if I had chosen to fight the rival at level 35 or something, you definitely could win, but you open yourself up to getting slashed by the Sand Slash, sand attacked and then just absolutely wrecked. The cloister can do a lot of damage. Things can really go south for you. You can take multiple resets there at rival 5 until you have a very safe level at level 43. Again, I could have risked it at a lower level, especially because we have hypnosis, but I didn't want to roll the dice like that. I wanted to really just get into the late game because hypnosis, don't forget, is 60% accurate. And there is a potential for losing in the late game pretty much no matter what you do. And most of that has to do with the hypnosis luck rather than like any special plan for you in the late game. So I chose to fight Sabrina here and use body slam. I did mix in one meditate just for better ranges. Sabrina's pretty trivial and she goes down. You'll notice I was also only at like 104 speed there going into the fight, I think, which I was just barely outspeeding that Abra. That's one reason why I went for the 2 Carbos earlier in the department store to get enough speed to naturally outspeed the Abra without having a chance of it getting me with flash and making Sabrina just an awful fight. Because with a psychic type, you can lose to Sabrina. If you get hit by kinesis and flash and she sets up reflect with Alakazam and you don't get a crit and you miss a lot, like even with it's embarrassing, but you can get side-waved down, basically. You can get special dropped down. You can lose that fight if you're not careful. Okay, Blaine is pretty simple. We're under speeding, but it mainly comes down to, can we land a hypnosis? This is a very painful start to the fight here, that we got confused and then got confused a couple times. Luckily, I am able to get a few attacks in a row, and then with enough meditates set up, I can one-shot the Ninetales, one-shot the Rapidash, and then will I put the Arcanine to sleep? Yes, I will, because that thing is a tanky boy. It survives even at +6, so I have to put it to sleep first. But despite it looking pretty sketchy there, we are able to eventually beat Blaine. A lot of that is because Hypno has fantastic bulk. Big HP stat, big defense stats. Really, really feels like a good Pokemon to play with. A lot of the hypnosis users tend to be a bit frail, especially because you can go in under level. They don't necessarily feel that resilient, but Hypno is an exception to that rule. It's a hypnosis user with quite good bulk. So a lot of times it's not just, well, I tried to set up hypnosis, but it missed twice and now I lost. A lot of times it can survive multiple turns while you're trying to get hypnosis up and then meditates up. Giovanni is pretty easy, but you notice that I saved there, and the reason for that is very simple. It's the Dug Trio. We underspeed it, and it can sand attack us. In this case, it missed, thankfully. It could also fissure us, which we've seen before, haven't we? If you can't outspeed the Dug Trio, it knows fissure. If it uses it 30% of the time, you're 6 feet under. So here I set up to +5. I don't think because +5 is a magic number. I think you need at least +4 if I remember right. And then maybe there's some marginal advantage to setting up more than that. So I think I just kind of set up until he woke up and then attacked and swept. Unfortunately, the Rhydon is a 2-shot, even if you're at +6. So just accept that. And most of the time with Hypno's bulk, you're still fine. Okay. Rival 5. This is going to look like a very familiar scene from here on out. Hypnosis missing 4 times in a row. Finally, it hits. You might think, David, isn't that a little silly? If you can survive 4 turns in a row, why even set up hypnosis? That's a painful crit. If it's not for the crit, that's actually a 1-shot there. But basically, the answer is you could survive 4 turns against the Sand Slash, but it could also go for Slash a lot more. So I think it is safer, even though it doesn't maybe look like it in this fight, as we survive at 31 health and paralyzed. Gosh, that was a brutal fight. That would have been run over, by the way. Like, I probably would have finished out the run just out of curiosity, but even with 0 resets, a loss there where you have to send out your HM users and then they have to get knocked out and then you have to bike back there. It's not very close to the center. Like, that would have been extremely painful. That would have basically killed the run. As it is, we're still alive and kicking. 0 resets, even though we've had a few close calls. Things are going pretty well for Hypno, but you could have seen that they could have fallen apart multiple times. We barely won that fight. We had Hypnosis miss 4 times in a row. That didn't help at the beginning. Especially didn't help that we got an untimely crit. Of course, crits, as you probably know if you're watching this, can be a bad thing if we're set up a lot, because crits are always going to do just under like 2 times damage at this level. As opposed to, I think at +6 we do 3 or 4 times damage. I think we do 4 times damage at +6. I think that's how the math works. I'm pretty sure it's and this is funny that I'm getting off the bike. Also something I used to do in my older runs, I leak confidence around that section of Victory Road, and then I go ahead and put the bike back on for the easier part. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the way the math works is at +2 you do twice the damage, +4 you do 3 times the damage, +6 you do 4 times the damage. But if you crit, you're always going to do like 1.9 times damage, something like that. It increases as your level goes up, but it'll be around there. Okay. Level 50. You might be thinking, wait, really? No rare candies? We're going in at level 50? We're not even a slow growth rate Pokemon. That's right. Hypno's such a beast, it doesn't need extra levels. I wasn't kidding when I said no more optionals, no more rare candies the rest of the way. Here we go. Hypnosis on the Dugong is helpful just so we don't take too much damage, because we are going to have to accept a couple 2-shots later. And I think I just got frustrated with that start and said, no, Lorelai's one of these trainers that can beat you. The Lapras is very bulky. The Slowbro is quite bulky as well. So I said, nope, I don't want to be on such low health. Let's try this again. And here it's frustrating, but I'm okay. Let's play this out. +5, and +5 should be good enough. Now, Cloyster, low special, Psychic gets the job done. We're going to be relying on Body Slam the rest of the way. Oh, I went up to +6 there. I snuck that in because I knew that Slowbro was going to have to go for a setup move on turn 2, although it wasn't necessary. And then we had to put the Lapras to sleep at the end because Lapras is very bulky and survives. Interestingly, I was about to say we had to use Body Slam the rest of the way there because we lost our badge boosts. One thing I noticed when I did this routing is that badge boosts are not that important for Hypno until you get to certain battles. Lorelei is not really one of those battles. If we're outspeeding naturally and Body Slam is at +6, a lot of times that's just enough to get it done. Likewise, against Agatha, we don't really need to set up because we can just kind of spam Psychic through here. Now, I will say we're underspeeding the first and the last Gengar, so there's a argument to be made for putting one of these Pokemon to sleep, like the Golbat or the Arbok or something, with Hypnosis, setting up a couple times to get the outspeed and the one-shot on the last Gengar. I thought it'd be fine if I just knocked it out afterwards, but you can see, wait a minute, I got put to sleep, confused, Psychic crits and drops my special. And is this going to be my first reset against Agatha? No, even with a special drop, I survive on 13 HP. That's Hypno's ridiculous stats coming through for me in the clutch. And we're past her. It was sketchy. I probably should have played around that. Or maybe just not gotten so unlucky. But Agatha down. Let's set up some meditates against Lance. Again, we're going to be using a mix of Body Slams and Psychic here. I think Psychic is actually technically the better option against Dragonair because you'd still beat it with a crit. But Aerodactyl is Psychic, and then we need to switch back to Body Slam because we lost badge boosts. But 2-shot is just fine on the Dragonite as long as it doesn't get a freeze or something. And he's down. Okay, just the champion left. Check out the time. 33 minutes and 40 seconds or so starting to talk to the champion. This is a very, very fast time, and it's going to be pretty comparable to Nidoking. So I set up here and need to put it back to sleep. Sandslash is not really doing a great job of sleeping, which is highly obnoxious. but here we go. +3 is actually enough to outspeed and one-shot the Alakazam. So I chose to knock out the Sandslash there, use Hypnosis on Executor, which is less threatening in case Hypnosis missed, in case you're wondering why I'm splitting the setup here. And then Body Slam at +6 is going to have just enough damage to one-shot the Magneton, unless I get a crit, which is pretty unlikely. And I crit twice and somehow survived both times, but it wasted time, and Body Slam takes out the Flareon. There you go. 34 minutes and 32 seconds. A time very close to my Nidoking run, actually. So we're going to have to rank this bad boy on the tier list. I was very, very happy with this run. It beat Austin's PB. Again, this is a little bit of an older run. I could do better even if I ran this today. And I'm sure he could do much better as well, since the PB I was chasing is several years old now at this point. But I think this exemplifies what Hypno is capable of. It's a very, very strong Pokemon. And yeah, I hope you got some interesting stuff out of this. I really enjoyed this run. Have a good one, everybody.